and Woody, you guys are regulars now.
Yes, we are.
Hey, guys.
Welcome. So
Oh, there's George.
It's
I gotta get my dog.
we hope 4 o'clock is okay for the West Coast. Kind of pick a time that works for everybody.
Wait, how do I do it?
Oh, there's Andrew Keeler's in.
Okay.
Hi. Do we see him? Let's see, gallery view. Oh, there's Andrew.
How come I have no, oh, there's my name. Okay, good.
I don't know if my name is on. Sheila Horowitz?
Yep.
I see Sheila. Yeah, I see Sheila.
Top right corner, it says speaker view or it'll either say speaker view or
Oh, Andrew says he has to leave in a few minutes to start my census work. Wanted to say hi. So Barney, say hi to Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
Hello. Hello, Barney.
We're gonna just let everybody filter in for a little bit, give everybody time to get in. If you want to chat, you could say hello, tell us where you're coming from. If you know Barney, how you know Barney, or if you how you found our Zoom call.
I think I met Bonnie maybe on some tournament sometime. That looks very familiar to me.
Hi, Sheila.
Hi, Bonnie. Were you ever in Gladys Brad's tournaments?
No, I did not. No, I did not. No. I'm not sure how we know one another, but you look very familiar.
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen you on somewhere.
Barney, I love your backdrop.
And now I'm going to talk about the backdrop.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Barney, I met you.
So handsome, Barney.
At the San Diego tournament last year. Outside during a break time.
Yes.
So I said hello to you.
My camera's gonna be a little weird for a second. I just gotta go and.
Nice thumb, guys.
I know. I have to go onto Zoom and send the link to people that are having issues. So.
Oh goodness.
So otherwise you'll see just like my chin or my forehead. So I figured this was better.
Barney, you look so handsome.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Wait, Janelle Schatz is trying to join in. Where's Janelle?
Hi, Barney. Hi, Lorraine.
Oh, that's Lisa. I heard Lisa's voice.
Hi, Barney.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Hey, Lisa.
Hi, Claire.
Hi, Carrie.
Hey.
Oh.
Claire.
Awesome. God.
So I guess if I just keep hitting this arrow on the top right, it just keeps scrolling.
Oh, yeah.
Something.
Thank all the people.
Oh, look at what a nice crowd.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are also here that just didn't have video as well.
Nice.
Nice.
I see Helen is in. Hello, Helen.
Where are you guys from? Where are you hailing from?
Darren, I live in Hollywood, Florida.
And I live in Jacksonville.
Oh.
I live in Hollywood, California.
I call us the other Hollywood. We're not the exciting Hollywood.
Jesus, George.
Oh, is that cute? Oh, yeah.
So here comes Toby. He's coming in. Okay, Katie's coming in. Let's see.
So if anybody is texting you and they're saying that they're having a hard time, you don't need a password. They just need to click on the link that we just posted on Facebook.
It's very easy.
Yeah. So Janelle is here.
My mom.
Oh, hi, Janelle. Hi, Janelle.
Mom, I don't see you. Oh, there's so many people. I don't see my mom.
I think the potatoes might be done.
Linda Fisher's in. Linda's here. Linda's coming in. Linda Fisher's coming in from New York.
I think you're talking, but I think you're muted.
Okay.
Hi, Toby.
So once we start, we're going to have to mute everybody.
We're getting a fierce thunderstorm and lightning storm here right now.
So Phyllis is unmuted. She can talk. Whoops. Let's see.
Hi, Katie.
There's Teresa Hi, Teresa.
Oh, my daughter got me up here. I didn't know what to do.
You're signed in as your daughter, by the way.
Oh, come on. Please, 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 please. Toby.
Hi, Carrie.
Hey, Toby.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
Hi,
Katie.
But at least we
There's
can also
Katie.
follow through this.
So many people. Hi, Katie.
Awesome.
So,
Wow.
you think we should?
Catherine?
I'm actually multitasking because my Mahjong game has not finished yet. So
Hey, Katie.
hi.
Of course, and you'll probably win.
So Teresa I see Teresa. I see Catherine Bonassi, but is that Teresa?
That's her daughter's name.
That's her daughter.
Yeah.
Hi, Lisa.
I don't wanna
I
be
see you up top. I see you now, Lisa.
Yeah,
Oh.
so you're giving us a tour of your home.
Yeah.
Let's see all the Mahjong sets.
Oh,
Show me your air conditioning.
I'm air conditioning.
No, show me your air conditioners.
My
I need
air.
one. I need one.
Oh.
My heat is on.
Oh, Toby, please.
No, honestly, right now, Brownie's on her. My heat is on. It's
Wow.
freezing here.
What?
It is.
I'm jealous.
It's so
Where are
cold.
you? Where are you?
Berkeley, California.
Oh,
Oh, up
We have
north.
12 people that don't have their video showing, and there's 45 people signed in with their video. It's now almost 7:10. Do you think?
So
we should
let's start. Yes.
So you got the recording.
Yep.
So everybody, welcome.
thank you.
Is everybody muted, or you got that?
I'm gonna do it.
Okay. So if you have any questions, we're doing this. Donna's going to mute everybody. If you have any questions, the best thing, I know normally if you type in all caps, that kind of means you're yelling, but here it's just to get our attention. So if you have a question of what we're talking about, it would be great if you could, I don't know why Siri's contacting me. Okay. So we will get started. Welcome. I'm Dara, and we're both—
I'm Donna.
John, that's Donna. I don't know if it'll switch to our different speaker view. We thought that there should be some creative ways to get us all together. We did on our Mahjong community, we did brain teasers, crossword puzzles, just different things to get everybody to keep Mahjong on the mind. We've done several different videos of why I Maj, men that Maj. And if you don't know Barney, but you're here just because you wanted to do something Mahjong related, if you go to our Mahjong community, you could watch the video and it just gives some more background of why he is just so beloved in this game and why he's such a great ambassador for this game. So to start with Barney, many of you who know him, or even if you don't know him, you've seen him, you know that you associate him with the color orange. So to introduce him, I looked up orange, and it combines the energy of red and the happiness of yellow. It is associated with joy, sunshine, and the tropics. It represents enthusiasm, fascination, happiness, creativity, determination, attraction, success, and encouragement. So I couldn't think of a more fitting color to be Barney's favorite color.
Wow, that's cool. Thank you for doing that. That's very exciting.
I thought he is from Old Japan, New Jersey. He's been playing Mahjong for about 5 years. His friend Julie knew that he would just be a natural and love the game. And it took one night for him to say he loved it. And not only did he love the game, but he loved the tiles, the artwork, everything. That led him to playing, that led him to enter tournaments, and that led him to be a tournament director in New York City. For those of you who know how expensive rent is and doing anything in New York, know that that was a well-needed and filled a wonderful void for the city. So without further ado, we are going to say hello to Barney.
Hi.
Hello, Barney.
Hi, everyone. So first of all, it's so exciting to be here. Thank you, Darren, Donna, for asking me to participate. And you know, I would like this to be as interactive as possible. So I hope as the questions are coming in, you can figure out a way to, you know, just interrupt and, you know, try to make it as interactive. I know this medium is not the best for that, but we'll do our best. And thank you for the introduction with the orange. It's funny, I've Halloween has always been my favorite holiday, and so I've been an orange fan since I was a kid. It was a quote from Frank Sinatra, though, that I think really ultimately iced the cake for me. And Frank Sinatra many years ago said, "Orange is the happiest color." And I think of myself as a pretty happy person. I try to be upbeat most of the time, and hopefully people who know me will agree with that. But so that's why I love orange. And in terms of orange, I wanted to tell you a little bit about this backdrop. In Zoom, that's why you see this weird little light around me. But in Zoom, you have a way of actually programming like a photo from your photo log that becomes your wallpaper. And I chose this for a couple of reasons. One, it's orange. Two, it's also symmetric. So no matter how you rotate it, it's going to look the same way. But this was actually a friend of mine. And Teresa Bonassi might remember this story, but there was a woman at one point, it might even be Teresa, I don't remember, who had a tablecloth out on Facebook somewhere that I fell in love with. And I was like, I don't know how all these people find these wonderful embroidered tablecloths and whatever, and what am I going to do to get one of those? And it turned out that I was able to take a design, and I went to an artist friend of mine in Brooklyn, and she literally painted this picture that you see in the background, and then was able to then somehow transfer the art to material to make this tablecloth. And it's got all the things in life that I love. The pagodas and the orange. Here's the the one bam over here in the corner, and just everything about this is great. It's sometimes I think it's almost too pretty to play on, but we have played on it. And one of the things that we did from a design element, you could see we kept the middle of the pattern open so that there would be no real conflict with seeing tiles as people were discarding tiles. So discarding into the middle of the tablecloth was, we wanted to keep that open. So anyway, I wanted to just show that to all of you. We'll talk a lot about orange today probably, but it's not the nicest picture. So I'm just going to go back to where it says none here. And now you can see my office. So this is my office here in New Jersey, and all the things in life that I like, some artwork, as you can see, from some Mahjong artwork. And one of my prized possessions is one of these very, very rare Oxford English dictionaries. And I'll tell you a funny story about this. When I ordered it, I actually got a phone call from Amazon that said to me, "We think you've purchased the wrong thing." And I was like, "Oh, why do you think that?" They said, "You realize this is multiple volumes and weighs like 100 pounds, and it's going to be delivered anyway." I said, "No, that's the one that I want." So that's one of my prized possessions. And so that's it, a little bit to get started. I was very excited. I've listened to some of the other videos, and I came up with a couple of things that hopefully we'll all want to talk about tonight. And just a couple of different things that I have. And I'm going to do a little show and tell in a couple of minutes, because one of my topics for tonight is I want to talk about the beauty of the sets. For anybody who knows me, they know that probably as much as I love playing the game, I love collecting sets. And so one of the things I think we'll talk about tonight is just why I like them and what makes them special, and so forth and so on. And I think as people raising their hand, I don't know if Sheila was going to ask a question or...
when people are typing in questions, we can read them to you is probably the best way, instead of everyone talking at the same time. Teresa Bonassi did say it was her tablecloth. So.
Thank you, Teresa.
Because then every time she sells a set, it says tablecloth not included, right? So.
Yeah.
But the first question we had wanted to ask you is, how are you handling the pandemic? And,
Yeah, this is obviously the question on everybody's mind. And let's face it, everybody has a different, different set of values, different beliefs, different stories, different lives, having parents or having close friends or whatever. So I know most people are not ready yet to be playing any games in person, or maybe they're playing in person and they're wearing masks. I actually did have a group that actually met in my garage one night. We called it Garage Maj. And so we literally all sat in the garage, and it was stifling, but everybody was wearing masks, and it was a little bit of a challenge, but we made it through. So there was a little bit of that. But obviously, we all have to do what's right for us. We need to be safe, and we know that at some point, hopefully within the next X number of months, we'll start playing together again. But in the meantime, I'm sure, as it's no secret to everybody, one of the things that I do is I play online. And I know it's not like playing in person, but I've played online literally from day one. And there are lots of different programs that people can use to play online. I know a number of you in the session tonight are people that I play with on, the one that I play most is called Mahjong Time. And they have tournaments on some weekends, and they have a very elaborate scoring system and ranking system and point system. I think it's a very, very sophisticated program. It's the one that I like the best. But I know many, many people, in fact, if you sign in like at any time of the day and you're on the real Mahjong, there's 6,000 tables going at any given time. So lots of people are playing online on that program. There's also Mahjong, I think, .net. I have never played on that. I see Greg shaking her head, so I think that's another one. And I think the league has one. I think Joy might be with us. I don't remember.
Yeah, Joy's here.
Yeah, I don't remember the official one it's called for the league, but I think the league has one as well. So there's lots of options.
Yeah, it's through Sigma Games. The league has a link, and then they have it run by Sigma Games.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. So obviously, you know, that's a big thing. And, you know, you could play on most of these. You could play with robots. You could play with people. They have chat capabilities. A lot of the groups that I play with use things like House Party and Zoom, so you could actually see one another. I play with Carrie on a regular basis, and I know she's with us tonight. So it is a way to stay, you know, connected with some of the people that we play with regularly through some online. And again, very, very different, but at least it's something. I think the other
Do you ever FaceTime or anything while you're playing online with your friends?
Yeah, that's through either through Zoom or through FaceTime, or House Party is a one where a lot of young people seem to be using this new app called House Party, which really is very, very easy.
Yeah, very easy.
Yeah,
the only thing you have to be careful of in House Party, which a young person told me, if you don't lock the room, anybody can jump in. So on the House Party app, it'll show up and it'll say, Barney's in the house. I can jump in your room. I mean, you'll see me, but unless you lock, I've jumped into a bunch of my friends as a joke. And they're like, wait, what are you doing here? I'm like, so you have to lock your room if you don't want any intruders.
Okay. Well, that is good to know. We haven't had that yet. I guess not too many people want to jump into Mahjong games. I don't know why.
Well, in case you do, as an aside, speaking of online games, there's tomorrow is our deadline. If anybody wants to compete, we are having a tournament to raise funds for the Alzheimer's Association. So if they go to modernmahjong.com, there's a red picture of a tournament. And if they click on that, the way we're doing it is because everybody wanted to be able to play longer. And like you said, Mahjong Time is a little more technical than some of the other sites. So anybody could play any of the websites, and then we are sending out a score sheet to make it all the same scoring. So you're not scoring by the website, you're scoring by tournament rules. So if anybody has any questions about that, they could email us. So,
great.
Okay, so,
I'm so sorry I'm traveling this weekend. Otherwise, I would have certainly joined. If you do others, I will certainly be there.
You know, we have over 100 people already, and there's people that already called that said they're signing up still. So it's, yeah, we're thrilled with the response to it. So speaking of tournaments, that's a great segue. You have been quoted several times of how to get over the fears of entering the first tournament and your advice on tournaments. So if you could explain what you think the best thing to do about that.
It is, by far, it's the #1 question I get from anybody that I talk to about, you know, thinking about joining tournaments. And it's so funny how, and I don't know if it's a New York, East Coast thing. I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, the opening statement is typically something like this. I so want to play in a tournament, but I hear the people are so nasty. And I'm like, where is all this sort of concept of nastiness coming from? Now, granted, every once in a while, can you meet someone who's got a little edge to them or maybe takes it just a little too seriously and isn't very nice? Yeah, so what? By the way, what thing do you do in life where you don't find a person like that or two every once in a while? So I strongly believe that the reason why we get better is when we play with better players. And when you go to tournaments, you typically find some very, very strong players there. And I would say 99% of them are really, really nice. Some of my best Mahjong friends I've met actually at tournament play. So I would say, please don't let the fear of running into a person or two who might be a little harsh or edgy or whatever get in the way. So you got to go with the right attitude. And the right attitude is, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to be in a room with some great food, with some great players playing a game that I love, and I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to go in with that attitude of, I'm going to have a good day, and no focus on winning. There is, you know, the chance of going into a tournament and winning. We all know there's such an incredible amount of luck in this game. It would be silly to think that you're going to show up at a tournament and win. You could have a very lucky day, and you could do very well and maybe come in the money. That would be great. But no one should go into a tournament thinking, I'm going to be in the top 3 or 4, whatever the number is, out of 100 people that day. There's going to be so much luck involved. I wouldn't go in thinking I'm going to win. I'm going in to have fun, play the game, great food, meet some nice people, and just do something that I love all day long. So that would be that'd be number one, the right attitude. The most basic thing, however, is just time yourself. You know, sometimes when we're playing at home, we allow for a lot of chatter, you know, people getting up, I don't know, eating, noshing, doing whatever, and you're talking. So, you know, how many games do you really get done in an hour? Maybe people don't even know. And so the truth of the matter is, the first thing I suggest is, if you're really thinking about it with your group of friends at home, time yourself. And if you can get, with trying to be quiet and just mindful of the game, if you can get your 4 games done in 55 minutes to an hour, let's say, you're good, you're golden, you can play in a tournament. That's all there is. Get it done in 55 minutes. And let me tell you right now, it is easy to do that when you're not chit-chatting. In fact, I would say most times in tournament play, those 4 games are done in somewhere between 40 and 45 minutes. It does not even take 55 minutes to play 4 games when you're laser focused on just playing and chit-chatting in between games, having fun, and on breaks and lunch and stuff like that. So I would say the number one thing is time yourself. If you can do that, you're probably ready to play, you know, in a tournament.
Barney, to interrupt you for a sec, what amazed me about a tournament that we were at is how fast the tiles were set up. The play was fast, but didn't intimidate me. It was when the walls were set up, it was the fastest I've ever seen people do that. So I think that also just the intimidation factor, like seeing other people, how fast they were moving and once I got past my first game, then I was fine. Then the intimidation factor kind of, and Donna and I weren't planning on playing. We were there, and the tournament director, Gladys, needed subs. So she kind of just threw us into the wolves, and we survived. So
barely.
You know, and I'm gonna tell you something else. To this day, and I play a number of tournaments every year. I love tournament play. To me, it's my favorite. I'm still nervous. I'm still nervous in that first game every single time I play. And again, it's not about I want to win, or I want to win this first game. It's just, you're in a room with people and you're playing that first game, and you know, you're a little nervous. But it's good energy. To me, it's good energy. And everyone's going to be a little nervous, period. And if you've never played before, clearly you're going to be nervous on that first day. And in fact, that's one of the things I wrote down. Always let the tournament director know that this is your first time. He or she wants to know. And I'm not saying they could do anything special. Maybe they can do some special things. I don't know. Maybe there's a couple of players sitting in the East position that are maybe extra friendly. And so some of the newer players maybe will get assigned to one of the extra friendly Easts in that first round. I know that's one thing that some of my director friends do, but let the director know that it's your first time. And when you meet her or him on that first day, say hello, introduce yourself. I think that's important. If the director can, one of the things that I think is really most important for someone thinking about playing in the first one is get the rules printed and sent to you email before the tournament even begins. 95% of all the rules that we follow in tournament play follow the rules of the National Mahjong League. Period, end of story. There are a couple, 3 or 4 maybe tops, where there might be some slight difference that will be spelled out in that rule sheet. Get familiar with them so that on that day, you know, for example, you know, one classic one in most tournaments, if you touch the tile, forget moving it or anything else, simply touching the tile is your commitment that you will now have to take it. So just getting, that would be spelled out in those rules. So if you could get them in advance, I think that's important, just know them. And then I always say, and the next rule is go back and reread rule number 1, and that is go to have fun. Just go to have fun, be relaxed, meet some nice people, and I guarantee you, I can really think of maybe less than 10 people who literally have been to a tournament and then refused to go back. Everybody says, yep, I made it through, I'm ready for the next one. So I think that's really important. I love tournament play.
So that was focusing on just your first tournament. What are your, and this kind of will lead later on into your tournaments, but for Easts, what are things that you're known as such, like Carrie just said, you know, you set the tone in your tournaments, but I've heard that you set the tone as East. What is it as East that you could do to alleviate the nerves? And, you know, I know some people bring Twizzlers and some people have, you know, different things to make people feel welcome.
You know what, that's such a good question. And you know, people think that, you know, the people who are sitting in that East position, you know, something's different, unique, whatever. These really are people who, you know, they're bringing their set. So number 1, they're bringing their set. So they're sitting at the table. They're not moving because they're watching their set. Okay, so they're East. Hopefully the East players are tournament, you know, they've been playing in other tournaments. They have some experience doing this. They weren't forced to do it. Sometimes forcing someone to be East is not a good thing either, but you know, they want to do it. And they really, really are responsible for one thing, and that is keeping score. Because they're not there to really solve every dispute. That in fact, they're there to solve no disputes. The East person is to keep the flow of the game going, watching the time, making sure that people are playing at a good pace so that we're going to get our 4 games done in 55 minutes. So they're looking at the clock. They're making sure that, you know, people are setting up their walls, keeping things in order. But the first time that a dispute comes up and anybody at the table has a concern about it, you call the director over. It's not East's responsibility to resolve problems at the table. Hopefully, East will give an opinion. Everybody will either agree, and then you could go on. But as soon as there's a disagreement, the tournament director will come over to resolve whatever dispute might be happening at that table. But then I also believe it's a matter of introducing yourself, saying hello, welcoming people to the table, especially if you happen to know that there is a new first-time person at a tournament at your table, then, you know, try to welcome them. And this might be sort of controversial, and I know there are a couple of other East players, and if they want to chime in, they could share their opinions as well. But I do my best when I'm East to prevent someone from doing something wrong. I get no happiness or joy out of watching somebody make a mistake.
You give an example.
Yes, so if someone's going to pick from the wrong end of the wall, you know, that's, you will be called dead if you pick from the wrong end of the wall. So if I see them leaning toward the wrong end of the wall, I will stop them and tell them, no, don't do that. And, you know, maybe some others feel like, well, they make the mistake, but I try to prevent, or someone who's playing out of turn, someone who didn't realize that the person before them didn't pick the tile and they go to pick, no, it's not your turn yet. So I try to prevent problems from happening so that we don't have to call the hand dead.
Do you distinguish that from if someone's about to throw a tile and they're going to miss getting a joker? That you wouldn't.
No.
So your mistakes as opposed to strategy.
Yes, outright just mistakes that, you know, like I said, picking from the wrong end of the world or picking out of turn. Or one of the things I always ask players, the tournaments that I play, and if they are also someone who plays a lot in Florida, because I know in Florida they play 14 tiles a lot. And so you might have people who are tempted to throw and then instead of picking, throw it. And so if I see them trying to do that, I will stop them from doing that if I can. But sometimes I just can't, you know, and they make a mistake. And so, you know, if you throw and pick, instead of picking and throwing, you know, your hand will be called dead because of that. So I ask people one of my opening questions is, do you play in Florida a lot? Are you familiar with the 14 tile game? Because, that could certainly lead to problems.
Yeah, as Dara said, Gladys asked us to sub in. We were not supposed to play. And I kept saying, pick and throw, pick and throw. I just had to, because we were taught the 14 tile future way.
Yeah.
So just some comments so far to emphasize what you're saying. Both Carrie and Blair Stewart said you emphasize the tone of your kindness in your tournaments, you alleviate nerves, you emphasize be kind, and that's the theme of your tournaments, and it is really helpful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. In
Going
fact,
back
if I wasn't wearing this tie today, which by the way, I forgot to tell everybody, why the heck is he wearing a tie? Why is he not wearing a t-shirt? Well, a really good friend of mine, Patty, I don't know if Patty's with us today on the call, but she's one of my friends from Long Island, and she bought me this beautiful orange dragon tie. And when she handed it to me, I was like, it's gorgeous. Now the question is, when will I wear it? And now what we've been going through for the last X number of months, I've not put on a dress shirt like this. So I said today, in her honor, I'm wearing her tie. And but if it wasn't for this, it would have been a kindness t-shirt, because that is the theme that I try to use in all the tournaments that I'm running. And even when I'm not running, when I show up, I tend to wear either my team nice or my team kind t-shirt, because I think we all need to be kind and nice to one another every day.
Teresa asked that you get closer to the camera. Should they want to see the tie? Or very nice. Ooh, very nice. Wow.
So speaking of kindness, in the beginning, when you first mentioned online play, Michelle had texted, could you go over some online etiquette? Do you say hi, bye? Are you expected to stay and play a few games? Michelle plays on real Mahjong and mostly plays with bots. And I know a lot of comments in our Mahjong community, people are split. Some people think when you enter a room, you should say hello, introduce yourself. Other people think that it's a computer and that takes away from the game, and that's not necessary. So what's your thought on online etiquette?
So I want to make sure that I'm completely following Michelle's question, because when you, and I am certainly not a technical guru, everybody on this call knows that, but when you, and Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, when we play on Mahjong Time, there's a dialogue box in the bottom of the screen, but when you're typing into that dialogue box, those words are going everywhere. It's not just for the people that are in quote unquote your room. Anybody can see those comments that you're typing, because I know I even see comments from people who aren't even playing American Mahjong. I'm seeing, Chinese.
Her question was about Mahjong Time, but I think a lot of people usually talk about it with real Mahjong when you're playing with a group and there's a whole chat in that.
That's right. In real Mahjong, you're exactly right. There is a dialogue box that allows you to type, to basically talk to your friends who are in that room with you. So what was the question? I always say hello.
Do you say hello and goodbye if you're going to leave? And are you expected to play more than one game?
I always say hello and goodbye, but that's me. I won't say that everybody does that, but that's just me. I always say, and I'll be honest with you, I sort of, let people know sort of how long I'm going to be around. I'll say, I got an hour to play here, so I'm playing for the next hour. But some people literally will come and go. And I would say one of the things I don't really love about real Mahjong is I think people, I hate to say this, but I think they see bad hands and they leave the room. They get dealt a bad hand and they exit, and then the bot takes over. So that's not great. There are penalties in the other version that I play where, like if you're playing in a marathon where you're committed to playing 4 games, if you leave early, you get thrown off of you can't play in a tournament for, I think it's 72 hours or something like that. You basically have now a window of 3 days where you're not going to get to play if you say you're going to play in a tournament and it's 4 games and then you pull out for whatever the reason.
I mean, I agree with you, but sometimes people say their internet connection drops.
Yes,
and
that's right.
It happens.
It does happen.
But I agree with you. I think a lot of people just leave.
Yeah.
When they don't like their hand.
Etiquette, and I don't know if this makes sense, but sometimes I think that, especially during COVID, people are using online games that are never been online before. I mean, it's a whole new world for a lot of players. So I think focusing on the game while they're texting. So a nice thing to say is before the game starts, hello, I really can't concentrate in text, you know, hello, and that's it. And then they'll know you're not going to be talking to them. So to break before our next question, we have a request from Toby. She would like to see your cufflinks.
Your cufflinks.
Oh, they're boring, Toby. They're really, really boring. They're just very simple orange knots.
They're still
they're knots. Boring. But you know, here's another example. You are so right. I think it was Dara who was making this comment, but you know, obviously with the uptick in people playing online, we're coming across lots of really, really new players. And by the way, I don't know how it works in real Mahjong, but in Mahjong Time, you could see how long a person has been on the site. Now, that's no indication of how long you've been playing Mahjong. It's just how long you've been on the site and how familiar you are with the navigation and how things work. But for example, it's happened twice in the last 2 months where I could tell by somebody who was very, very new to the game who joined a marathon. They didn't even know what a marathon really was. And even though there's a little pop-up box that tells you by playing in this marathon, you're committing to playing 4 games, they had no idea really what that meant. And so I literally said, hi, welcome, Sally, marathon. Remember, you're committing here to 4 games in a row. And she went, oh, I can't play 4 games. And so it was, you know, so I tried to help.
The first time I was in a marathon on there, I didn't realize that they somewhat trick you. When you're one away, they will offer Mahjong every tile that's thrown to you and I didn't get burned, but I was very confused about it. And that's what and I think they only do it in tournament play and marathons.
That's right. That only happens in tournament play and marathons. And I would say my hunch is 99% of the people who play have been burned by that. And guess what? Burned hopefully just once.
Right.
But I even told a friend of mine the other night, I literally have my cursor when I get set, I move my cursor to a completely different part of the screen. So that I'm less tempted to hit that Mahjong button. I have to move further away. So I'm watching very closely whether or not what was just dealt to me was the Mahjong tile. And it's helped me. That's one little trick that it worked for me. But so yes, that's absolutely true.
Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Okay. You say, why so many Mahjong sets? Are you crazy?
Well, everyone who knows me knows that the answer to that question is yes, I am crazy. When I first learned, May was 5 years ago, I loved the game and I was playing a lot, and then somebody turned me on to eBay, and boy, was I in trouble. That was just evil. And then eBay led to other groups, and there are Facebook groups and collector groups and these groups that knew all about special sets and beautiful sets. And I love art, as maybe you could see in my office. I'm just an art person. And then this happened. And the author, or one of the authors of this book, is with us today. Greg Swain's book came out, and boy, was I in trouble. I mean, this became my Bible. And I still have it marked with my orange paper clip, but this was the set. This was the set that actually put me over the top. This was when I realized that there was such a thing as an orange enrobed set. I was like, okay, I won't be able to live until I have this. And so as part of my little show and tell today, there is that set.
Wow.
So that orange and robe set, that is probably in my top 5 of the sets that I own that make me smile the most. And I love playing with it. So that's a lot of fun. So that was a nice one. Another one that I know Greg knows a little bit about is this very special set. And we also have the artist of a special tile from this set on here. So these tiles are mother of pearl on the top with this black back. And this is a vintage set which had no jokers, of course. And then lo and behold, Miss Christine helped me.
That's amazing.
orange J jokers. And so,
Yeah.
yes,
Good job, Christine.
yeah, I will tell
Christine's
you,
husband.
I've only played with this set 3 times, and it was with people who I literally could trust that we were not going to throw the tiles, and we were going to treat, wear white gloves almost. Yeah, so that was it. But then, the other thing about sets that I think is important, it's really knowing your audience. I mean, not everybody likes these vintage sets. It's not what floats people's boat. And to be honest with you, I want people to be careful. So if I knew that I was playing with a group of people that didn't care about them or really like them, I'm not bringing them out. And we've had a couple of really exciting things happen recently. And one other thing I wanted to show you, as I think many of you already know, is we have these beautiful
Hello, Seth.
Black and robed, yep.
Black and robe set from our hosts today, who I bought this from. And this is a lovely way to look like you're playing with enrobed sets, and yet you could throw the tiles with abandon and have fun with it. And they're really exquisite. And some of the people joining today have already played on this set with me, and we had a great time. It's wonderful. And the whole thing to me is they're all beautiful. They're all beautiful and unique and different in some way, and they're made of different materials. They come in different boxes. I found this beautiful, this is I think this is an eel skin, or no, not eel, it's shark skin. This is a shark skin box that I thought would be great in terms of putting up, those other tiles in here. So just fun things that you can find to make things, just exciting. So the artistic element of this is very, very important to me. But I really do believe it's a lot about knowing who you're playing with. And
so I agree, because we had our group, we played with a bone and bamboo set I had. And one of the girls did not, she said, it's curved, I don't like it, they're so light. And I know, and I said, it's beautiful. And she has no taste, but whatever.
Well, they do have a slight curve, and sometimes the ball does fall over. So yeah, you do have to be careful of that. But there's a bone and ebony set that I have that I always think is going to break, but they're beautiful. They're just beautiful. And someday maybe I'll start selling them, because it has taken over the living room. And for those of you who've been to my home, you realize the living room is now, basically nothing but Mahjong sets.
So speaking of which, I know you're not supposed to ask someone their age. Are we allowed to ask you how many sets you have?
And my answer is, it's a gross amount.
It's okay, Amy got your answer. Amy asked that. Did Barney reveal how many sets he had? So
how many items are in a gross? 144. That's the number.
So we missed earlier, Toby asked if you have an opinion on why are there so many more women than men playing Mahjong. And I know that on our group, we featured Barney and Andrew, who was on the call. Men That Maj, we love sharing why men get drawn to the game. Definitely feel that with COVID, a lot of people are teaching their spouses and sons and how to play. Do you have any reason why you think that some men are just not interested in the game?
Well, I think because it started out with so many women, I think some men might be just intimidated by going into a room full of women, and they're going to be one of the very few. I saw no issue with that whatsoever. But I've asked a couple of my friends, and they would say, isn't that for women? And I'm like, well, what makes a game for women? Or what makes a game, for men? I mean, there are women who play lacrosse. I just don't really understand the thinking around that, to be very honest with you. But the concept of, I thought it was just for women. And I was like, okay, there's no rule that says you have to be a woman to play this game. And I think they're just intimidated. They're going to be in a room filled with women.
And years ago, it was a gambling game. And in China, it was looked down upon for women. So it's interesting how different cultures.
That's right. Yes.
So then you were also asked, have you ever tried any other versions of Mahjong? By Sam asked that.
I have not, but I will tell you the one that I'm probably most interested in is, I think it's MCR. I think that's the official acronym for, basically competition rules, Mahjong competition rules, which I think is the purest. I don't want to say that. I don't know that for a fact, but I think in terms of the biggest tournaments in the world. I think Ricci, I think, is also, there's a lot of Ricci tournaments in the world, but I want to learn how to play. I did find a group in New York City, and talk about a different experience. I did find a group in New York City that met at a game store in the Village that plays, and by the way, I'm saying Ricci, but it might be Riche. There might not be no hard accent on the end there. But anyway, and talk about different. I showed up, everybody was half my age, and almost everybody was male. There were very few women playing, and nobody was over 30. I mean, very, very few people over 30. So Riche it seemed very, very different. There's a lot of phrases you have to get familiar with, Japanese phrases that you have to get familiar with. And again, I enjoyed it, but I don't have, other than that one group, I didn't know anybody around here who was playing. And I don't know anybody who plays MCR, although I know there's a couple of people in the collectors group who play and always tell me, see, if you played MCR, you wouldn't have to worry about matching up those jokers because they don't play with the jokers. So it was.
Greg commented to everyone that Ricci and MCR are very big worldwide, but Ricci's bigger internationally.
Ah, okay, thank you.
And Julie, we're all thankful to Julie for introducing you to the game. She said you have a collections of everything that you've been friends, and that he's been a collector since way back, sweaters, ties, crystal, you name it, but that your Mahjong collection beats them all.
Oh.
Suggesting that maybe one of your tournaments, you could have like a Mahjong museum as well.
Well, I mean, I've always thought of if there was a spot where we could somehow come up with a parlor someday where we were playing and selling things and showing things and paraphernalia. That's the fantasy. That is the fantasy of finding a place where you can do that without, ruining your bank account. That's really what I would love to see someday.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So now if we talked about entering tournaments, and every year it seems that you review the card for all of us, and we always share that on Mahjong Community. You do an amazing job of just going through the different hands and what to look for. One of the things that I thought was very helpful is looking at what exposures automatically make someone dead. That was just such a great tip, that if somebody, puts out 3, now I've been busy, I haven't played a few days, but I think it's if you put out 3 dragons this year, you're dead.
Right.
So what are things, other than knowing the card, what are things that somebody should do just to improve their game?
Well, this game is so different than so many other things because in so many other events, sports or academic competitions or competitions in general, people can help you get better because we can see what you're doing wrong. A basketball player who's not making the right sort of shots or not dribbling correctly or, playing the right defense, you can see what they're doing. I find this difficult in that I don't exactly know what anybody's doing. I don't know what tiles they have in front of them. I don't know if they missed an opportunity to find a better hand, or if they missed the opportunity to change to defense because their probability of them winning now is so, is so small that they should be now going to defense. We don't see that unless they're doing something so blatantly wrong. It's hard to do. So, one of the things I've told people is tell people in your group what you're struggling with. Tell them I don't think I'm finding all the right hands. I don't think when those tiles come up, I don't think I'm seeing everything I should be seeing, or I just don't know the point at which I should, change over. And if possible, what I did with a friend of mine near where I live, help them by sitting next to them, coaching them, where you can actually see what it is that they're doing, because I think that's what makes this game difficult. Other than just playing a lot, getting better, playing with better people, playing in tournaments, trying to up your game, it's really understanding where you think you might be having a problem and then doing something about it. But since we don't know what that problem is, it's really up to people to make some sort of self-assessment of where they think they might be struggling.
That's a good point, because when I first learned years and years ago, we had a group and somebody said, don't ever keep your tiles separate into 4, 3, because this one girl will look and know, and she counts what's out and she'll know exactly what you're doing. I had never thought, I was a beginner. I'm trying to, make a hand, and they helped me in that way.
Yeah.
Little tips like that.
Absolutely. I mean, and then even watching some of these people in terms of, and again, you don't know how people have been trained. Do they even have formal training? Do they just pick it up and learn it by themselves? And they, just like, where do you have your tiles positioned? Like, why are, your next to discard tile should be, at one end, left or right, so that you can throw that quickly and not be searching for the middle and whatever. So simple little things that to help people, I think would be, would really make a lot of people's games a lot better. But there's one that I did want to talk about, and I guarantee you nobody in this session today has this issue, but where this has come up in many, many games that I've played in these last 5 years, is every decision you make is not going to be perfect. Don't think that you have to find the perfect tile and the perfect pattern, because you're taking up too much time. You are losing friends. Nobody wants to watch you make the perfect decision. You got to keep this game going. And, one lady who I love basically said, well, I know. What about this? And what about, I said, not what about all those things. You're confusing yourself and you're taking too much time. You got to have a basic pattern, a plan B, get those tiles ready to discard and go, and just not overthink things so much. And sure enough, when she let me sit by her, I was like, why are you even contemplating holding that tile? It goes with nothing. Nothing. Well, what if? Nothing. Get rid of it. So there's some simple things that I think people could really up their game very quickly. But timing is an important one. I mean, nobody wants to sit there and watch someone make an agonizing decision on every tile that he or she is playing.
So what are some things about etiquette for you that you...
Someday I want to do a session just on etiquette. Some people could care less about, good etiquette, and a lot of people I see smiling already. I love playing at a, nice group of people with following the rules and being cordial at the table and doing the right things and just moving away from things that just annoy most of us. Please, please, please don't touch my tiles. Please, please, please don't touch my rack. There's no reason to do that. And that's so basic. And yet there are lots of people who that's the way they play, and they touch each other's tiles and they touch each other's racks, and it drives me crazy, but they do that. Helicoptering, a word that I love. Why is your hand reaching over the wall? Well, the person hasn't even thrown her tile yet. Why is your hand over the wall? So don't do that. Get the fly swatter out. We don't want you doing that. That's not good. Food on the table. Why do we have food on the table? Invest in little tables, put your food down. I mean, and I witnessed this literally even in a tournament once where a woman spilled like coffee over tiles, and the woman was really, really annoyed. And of course I said, why don't you tell her to take that coffee off the table? But it can happen. So, what do we do with cell phones? Are there rules about cell phones? Should they be silenced? Should they be in your purse? If you're expecting an emergency, okay, we get that. But I think, I just think some amount of good table etiquette is important. But my favorite is, and it's so easy, and not everybody does it, you want that wall to be in the middle of the table at all times. Nobody should be reaching all the way across the table to grab the next tile on the wall. Those next couple of tiles that are going to be picked, they should be pushed out to the middle of the table so that everybody can easily grab them. It's such a simple thing, and yet, and I'm talking some very, very, very long-standing tenured players who just don't do that. And we're constantly, can you please push it out? Can you please push it out? Another one, you've made your first left, and you're going so fast, you've already made your second left, so now there's 2 piles of tiles sitting there waiting to go left, and now people are starting to get confused about, okay, where are we again? What is that? And I didn't grab my cross yet. Not good. So only make one pass at a time. Even if you're ready to do the second one, keep them under your hand. Keep the tiles under your hand and then pass them when they've looked at that first left. So the way in which the tiles are flowing around the table, I think, is important too. And I could go on and on and on about this. There's so many of them that I think are.
So just some other comments were the hovering claw of death. Joanne hates the postmortems. They drive her crazy.
Oh, the postmortems, right?
And then, so before we open it to questions, Donna's going to share. Can you go to my screen, Donna?
Yeah.
By the way, celebrate other people's wins. Focus on the win of other people and less about the fact that you were one tile away and it would have been a quint. Focus on other people's wins.
So can you see that now?
No.
You should be able to share now.
Let's see. Let me see if I can do it this way. Hold on one second.
Do I need to do something up top?
No, I'm doing something here. So what I'm sharing, oh, my dog's barking is what I'm sharing.
Does it work?
Let's see. There we go. Can you see it? No.
I don't know where I'm supposed to be looking, though, to be honest.
No. It's just my screen. Well, what I was going to share, but for some reason it's not opening right now. I was going to share a picture of you on the David Letterman show.
Oh!
So
now you
starting.
There it is. Okay.
All right,
What's your
iTunes?
Sharing your desktop. There it is.
Okay. So your friend did a fabulous job, I'm assuming, photoshopping this. Okay, Don, you can stop the sharing if you can. So can you explain to us how does it feel when people share the top 10 David Letterman Mahjong comments? And, a lot of people are like, oh, where'd that come from? When you now all the people on this can know that you were the original author of that.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing how many people literally commented online in one of the Facebook chat groups, literally saying, I can't believe, David Letterman plays Mahjong. And it's like, otherwise, how would he know those things? I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, that's the little thing I pulled together. Like they really did not know. And that post comes back from time to time. I guess maybe a new person to the site sees it or finds it and makes it.
Yeah, we get friends sharing it to us like we've never seen this before,
and of course,
thanks for coming.
And I'll be honest with you, could have been a top 100 because there's so many common things. Yeah.
So, Donna, do you want to open it for questions?
Yeah, no, if anyone has any questions, if you know to type in the chat box, I guess.
Or
you
if
can
they
ask
want
some
to
questions.
raise your hand and speak. Underneath the names and if you have participants on the right, it says raise hand. You could click on that and then
And you could also unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. Just click unmute on your thing and you can ask a question.
We had someone. Oh, can Barney share the top 10 again?
Oh, I don't have it. We'll
post it on Mahjong Community.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, we'll post
it. So
it.
basically, it was Amy. I'm sure all of you could think. Are there any jokers in this set?
Right.
All the basic things that you hear every time that you get out of set.
Right.
And then Swish. I'm not sure. I don't know who Swish is, but Swish wants to know, how do you improve your ranking on Mahjong Time?
Oh boy, I wish I knew the answer. I wish there was an easy way to answer that question. I'm just going to give you my opinion because I don't know what the answer is. But I strongly believe that part of the answer is knowing when to play more or knowing when to play less on any given night. I find myself, if I've had a really bad night and I am, let's say I've played 8 games, I'm over 8, I stop. And if I'm really doing well and I don't want to play another one, I force myself to play one more. So I think it's knowing how to strike when the iron's hot because you're on a hot streak and play more. And don't think that all of a sudden everything's going to turn around and your bad night is going to start getting good. That's my opinion. I have no idea if that works or whatever, but that's what I've been doing.
I want to say something about real mahjong. Because there's no penalties, people just throw things that are so hot, and
Yes.
it really ruins the game.
That's true. I've seen that. Yep, Joy, I
yeah.
agree.
That was Joy speaking.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. So in my game, this week we instituted something where if you throw a hot tile or 3 exposures, we charge you 50 cents, and we keep a spreadsheet. And then whenever this pandemic is over, we'll just use the money and do something. But that's I think a real drawback of real mahjong. You know, it doesn't feel real because you just throw anything you want. And I have a question for Barney, if I could do one more.
Hi, Joy.
Do you find that some mahjong, at tournaments, some of the mahjong, people who are running the tournaments don't know the rules, and they, if there's a controversy about a rule, they rule unfairly? Because I do find that.
Yeah.
Not in your tournament, Barney. You do know the rules.
Well, and again, I think I know the rules, but you know me, Joy, I'd be the first person to come running over to you or somebody else who really knows the rules inside and out. If I thought I was making a bad decision, I would try to get to the bottom of a good decision as opposed to making a rash decision, because I know of multiple experiences of people who've written to me and said, this happened to me last week, what do you think? And I'm like, I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what happened, but it doesn't sound like that was the proper rule or the proper ruling that took place at that time.
Right, and I get a lot of emails after tournaments saying so-and-so happened and the director said this, and I believe they were wrong, and they were wrong. And I do have directors come over to me at tournaments and ask my opinion. So I'm kind of getting the feeling that people who run tournaments don't familiarize themselves with the Mahjong League rules.
Yeah.
I think Sheila has a question. She's been patient.
Yeah, I have. I myself do run tournaments at my temple once a year. Coming November, hopefully it'll happen, but I don't know. We haven't even discussed going on how to do this virtually. But I have my 2 co-directors and myself. We've been doing this for 9 years, and we're very, very strict when it comes to the rules. I learned from Gladys how to run tournaments because I played in many, many, many of her tournaments over the years. And we are very, very fair. And if we know that there is a definite problem, we don't care, it's going to be resolved right then and there. So you've got to be fair. You've got to know your people. We've had over 120 women and men playing in my tournament now. So it's really a lot of fun. But now with this virtual thing, we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I'm going to, please don't take it the wrong way, but I will also tell you, just like everything in life, I think some tournament directors some are just going to be better than others. They've been doing it for longer. They're more up on the rules. A lot of them are actually talking a lot online about rule questions that come up. There are certainly some tournament directors who are outstanding at what they do, and I would trust them implicitly. And then, in fairness to the others who maybe aren't, they're doing something good for their community. They're running a tournament. They should just know, though, when to ask for help. I just feel like they should just know when to ask for help and say, I don't know, let's see if anybody in the room can help us.
Bonnie, are you going to be running more virtual tournaments where you are?
I don't run any virtual tournaments. Okay. So I've had a couple of people ask me about doing it. So it's something I've thought about, but truthfully right now, there's nothing really in the works.
Thank you.
Katie Albert says that's why I choose tournaments based on the director.
Did we ask, Donna's, I had to go get my charger. Donna Toscano asked if you have to know how to play, to keep score when you play. She hasn't taken the plunge yet. Before attending, do you need to know how to keep score, or is it something that if you read the rules?
Well, the scoring works just like really the way you would score it at home, 20, points for the game and then 10 points. And again, by the way, that's something that is specifically spelled out on the rules that you will get on the morning of or in advance, that basically says 10 extra points for this, or minus 10 if you do this, and a minus 25 if you do this. But generally the scoring is what you're already familiar with, other than the penalty point.
I think the penalty, I mean, I'm paraphrasing. Donna could tell me if Donna.
We don't keep score when we play, so we're at a disadvantage.
Okay, there you go. Then,
so we better start learning.
That would be one that I would say. I'm looking at that sheet and understand. And by the way, a determinant at all about
and
whether
then
or not you want to
Rochelle
play
said,
this
you
one.
seem to enter your first tournament shortly after you learned. I believe you said it was Morristown. How do you muster up enough confidence so early on?
Oh, well, first of all, surround yourself with people that you love. And Julie and Lisa and Pam and Lorraine, they were all there with me on that first tournament. We went together and, and again, a great tournament director who I communicated with in advance made it very, very easy for me. And I'll be honest with you, it was beautiful. It was just beautiful, and it was not stressful at all. It just wasn't.
This is just a throwback to before when Joy was talking about how you penalize the person who throws the tile. Linda Fisher said they pay by Venmo, so they're not even waiting till after the pandemic. They're paying now. So.
Oh, there you go.
So, and do we have any other questions about etiquette, tournaments, collecting?
I'm sorry that we went over. I was hoping to keep it to an hour. I apologize.
I'm sure there's no complaints.
Okay.
I just want to make sure Barney's on gallery view so you can see everybody who's on.
Oh yeah.
Can you see everybody who's on?
No, I can only see 6 people up top.
No, so you click again.
Oh, there we go. I just clicked on gallery.
Okay, gallery view.
Now I can see what, about 25?
Yeah, you can see Greg and Sheila.
We had about 50.
Harry's there. Yeah.
A bunch of people had told us that they had to get off a little bit ago, but it's been. We love the interest. We love that you guys are enjoying. So a lot of people have noticed that our talks so far have been very New York centric, which they have been just coincidentally. Our next talk will continue in New York and Connecticut with Greg Swain, the co-author of the next book coming out, and the book that Barney was talking about today that got him on his orange and robe set hunt. We are doing that next week, and then the week after we are also staying in New York, and we're meeting with Linda Fisher, who's also on this call. So we have, thank you, Linda. So we have 2 great talks coming up, and just a very exciting announcement. After this, we're heading to the West Coast, and we are going to North California, and we are going to have Toby as our next guest. So Toby is a wonderful teacher. Oh, look, we're getting claps for Toby. She's a wonderful teacher. She has brunches. She has and she is co-author with Greg on the upcoming book. So Christine said, this has been terrific. Looking forward to the next sections. Well done. Thank you, Christine. And by the way, just so I don't know if any of you listen to their kids or grandkids listening to Zoom talks or calls. When I hear myself talking, I feel like I'm like a YouTuber, like I'm going through these comments. It's just very funny to hear myself saying this.
Before we leave, and while we have Linda, I just want to tell them that Dara and I went to New York and we met Sarah Jessica Parker, and we gave her our dice, and then you had to buy a pair of her shoes in order to meet her. So we left Bloomingdale's and it started raining, and we went to Bryant Park to meet Linda and play. We played in the pouring rain in Bryant Park.
Yep.
Brand new Sarah Jessica shoes in a bag. But we had so much fun in Bryant Park.
Bloomingdale's bag did not last very long, but we met Vivian there and Linda, and it's just such a, if you haven't been there, once it starts up again, it's been so great. And it's such a compliment to Linda that then they asked her if she wanted to continue during the winter and gave her a high rent venue of the Overlook to be able to continue the games there. So we just, Donna and I love seeing Mahjong. It's as Helen actually, who's on this call, called it the other day, Mahjong in the wild. We just love seeing Mahjong take interest, and a lot of new players, younger players. So it's been really a great way to connect with all of you. I don't know if any of you saw, just a little housekeeping, I don't know if any of you saw how we're kvelling. Donna and I are both wearing our Mahjong scarves, which are masks. So there's a website, kveller.com, and they just published an article. They said they are obsessed with our mask. So anything that somebody's obsessed over Mahjong, we're thrilled with. So that was great. So please let your friends know about our upcoming Zoom talks. And if you still have time to register for our tournament, and we are looking forward to seeing you online.
Barney, thank you so much. This was
Oh,
really
my
special. And I hope you enjoyed seeing all your friends. That's why I want you to see everybody.
I did.
Barney, you are an incredible ambassador for the game. Everything from when we first
Thank you, Barney.
virtually met you is true. So
Thank you. I love it. I'm blessed.
We hope to come to New York soon and play with you guys and meet you.
So. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
All right. Bye, everybody.
And this, by the way, if any friends missed it, this will be on YouTube soon. So
Thank you.
Thank you.